Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we're gonna look at this vintage Sideshow Collectibles figure. This is the master from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So yeah, stick around, this is gonna be very cool. So quick story here on how I got this figure. Essentially last week I was doing a couple of flea markets and garage sales with one of my good friends. We usually do that every couple weekends here. And I stumbled across this figure and I was like, wait a minute. This is a old Sideshow Collectibles figure, because I obviously knew back then this was pretty much how Sideshow was giving us figures. You have this I guess standard box here, pretty thin but pretty tall. So I knew right away this is from Sideshow. This is actually from 2004, which is insane because this thing is like 22 years old. And then I asked the guy how much is your figure. I made him an offer and I pretty much got this guy for like $30 or something like that, which is insane. Again, the figure is in excellent condition here. Obviously the box has some wear because again this thing is pretty old. So as usual, let's take a look at the box here. As you can see, this is Mark Metcalf as the master. Again, I'm gonna admit this right away, I haven't seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I don't know anything about this show. So if you guys have seen the show, obviously let me know in the comments below. Is it any good? Is it worth watching? Because usually when I'm doing a review or an unboxing or whatever, I'm always aware of the material that I'm reviewing or whatever it is. So see here on the side you have the Sideshow Collectibles logo in a nice purple hue. Again, the master here. Fear is a wonderful thing. Yeah, great shots from the figure, obviously. And here, this is what I miss on the latest 1/scale figures. You don't really have, the description of the character anymore on the boxes or the movie or the series, whatever. As you can see, here's a quick description. You can pause that. It's very nice here, very nice font on the box. As you can see, there's the character in the series. Again, he looks pretty cool. He almost looks like a Nazi vampire. Have that leather-ish, coat right there that he has. I believe this is the actress from How I Met Your Mother, Lily. Again, there's also a vampire version of her. And again, here on the bottom, you have some specs right there, some warnings, and again, this is from 2004, which is insane. And obviously here on the inside, you do have a Velcro. And again, you have more information right there, which is cool. Again, I like when the companies do this. You have some more pictures of the character. And again, on the inside is where the figure would be, with a couple of his accessories. So yeah, let's take a look at everything he comes with and review this puppy. So when it comes to the accessories, again, it's not much. Back then the Sideshow figures didn't come with a lot of accessories. But interesting, what's cool about this is actually Sideshow was the first company that I got my first 1/6 scale official action figure way back in the day. I believe it was in, Jesus Christ, 2008, and that was the T-1000 from obviously Terminator 2. But if you take a quick look here on the box again, it doesn't say 1/6 scale figure. This is pretty much advertised as a 12-inch figure, but we all know on average 12 inches is about 1/6 scale, again depending on how tall the character is. So again, this is their old circular bases, which I like because now, and I'm gonna do some comparisons with some modern 1/6 scale figures, but essentially what Sideshow is doing nowadays, they are using this like hexagonal bases, pretty much black. There's no font of the figure's name or whatever, and I like this. Again, it's very simple, it's very small. As you can see, it's pretty much almost the size of a DVD, but it's very cool. You have this nice font. You have Buffy the Vampire Slayer right there. As you can see, 2004, which is very old. I would imagine these guys back then, the old Sideshow figures, I believe they were about between $40 and $60. And as soon as they got the Star Wars license, their figures obviously went up in price because that's how they roll. But again, I'm used to Sideshow. Again, I used to collect their old Friday the 13th figures. I had Pamela Voorhees, I had part 3 Jason, part 4, part 7 the Freddy vs. Jason, and the part 9. So again, I'm pretty familiar with these types of boxes and these type of stands. And the rest of it, his accessories pretty much have a glass of, I was gonna say wine, but this is obviously blood right there, which is pretty cool. Again, very nice, you know, touch right there. And you do have some candles right there. Again, I'm not sure what these are, why these come with the figure. Do they have a purpose in the show? Maybe. But again, as you can see, the details on the gold right there on the bottom is very nice. Very nice sculpt right there. The only thing is you don't have the that black part that usually sticks out from the candle, so this almost like melted away. That's a little bit unfortunate. And you have a red one right there. Again, very convincing. This almost looks like that wax texture material. So again, this one is also made of gold right there. So yeah, pretty cool accessories. Again, I don't know if in this series this guy came with more stuff, but again, for $25, I'm not gonna complain. And here's the figure. Man, actually, I'm very surprised. As soon as I opened the box, you know, last week when I was pretty much doing the garage stuff and the flea markets, you know, I saw this guy and I said, man, this looks very nice for its age. I mean, again, this thing is like 22 years old, you know, 24 actually, sorry. Again, he came out in 2004, but the sculpt of this thing, again, I'm gonna do some close-ups here in a couple of seconds. Just trying to show you guys all the figure here to begin with. But again, the material, I think this is like a nylon material, because again, if this would have been fake leather, you know, after 24 years, this would have been, you know, dust. Again, pun intended. So you can see, my only complaint here, the sleeves are a little bit short, as you can see. You can kind of see the exposed joints, and this is how the Sideshow body was. Again, I'm gonna take his coat off. I'm gonna show you guys how his body look underneath. Again, the proportions are not too bad. Again, he's definitely missing some traps action right there. It's a little bit flat at the shoulders. But I mean, other than that, this thing is kick-ass. Again, for being 24 years old, at this point, I guess you can call this vintage Sideshow. Again, you have some nice, you know, mud splatter on the boots right there. Very nice. Again, this is interesting because back then Sideshow would pretty much use like almost like this Barbie, you know, bodies, where essentially you have the feet and the feet go inside the boots. Nowadays you pretty much have ball joint, you know, that snap inside the boot. But this is pretty cool. Again, you have this nice, you know, again, almost like this Nazi German coat right there. Again, you have the belt right there. Again, nothing too crazy on the back, but again, the material that they used, man, very cool. Again, there's no damages on this guy that I can see, so that's pretty cool. Again, even the body, I mean, man, this thing is relatively sturdy. Again, for the age, you know, I have seen Sideshow figures that came out like 5 years ago, and the bodies were way looser than this. This is pretty stiff, which is pretty cool. And again, look at that head sculpt. Very nice. Again, even back in a day Sideshow, they mastered, again, pun intended here, their head sculpt. And I like, they put like this glossy touch on the lips right there, as you can see. Someone looks wet. And again, the wrinkles, the lines here. You obviously have a big, you know, seam right there, but look at that. They even put it like veins on the figures right there. You can see at the top, I think those are supposed to be veins, right? That's very nice right there. Again, it almost looks like a goblin or ghoul. But again, very nice. And those eyes right there. Man. The paint application on this guy, again, is very nice. This was a good surprise to buy, again, for $25. Which nowadays, your average one scale figure is what? $250, $300? This guy is no joke. Again, those nasty nails right there. Again, if I would have another complaint, would have been cool for him to have more hands, because the sculpts on these, again, for being such an old figure, is very nice. As you can see the veins right there, the wrinkles, the long ass nails. Obviously, him being a vampire. This is pretty cool, man. Again, so if you take a closer look at the coat right there, again, very easy to remove. You pretty much have some snap buttons right there, and the belt has a clip. Again, and the quality on this, again, I'm blown away for some reason. I don't know why, because like the stitching that they've used back in the day, it's very solid. Again, you have some loose threads, which is pretty common, you know, on scale figures, jackets. But again, the material is very nice, man. Very nice indeed. Again, no flaking over the years. This again reminds me almost like a raincoat, this nylon, you know, material. Again, very nice right there. It's a little bit tricky to actually put back on the figure just because of the hands. But again, this uses like, you know, the old hands where you pretty much, you don't have a ball joint, you pretty much have like this, you know, motion. I'm gonna show you guys. So again, this is pretty much the body. And here's what I was talking about, the hands. You pretty much have this weird joint right there, which obviously doesn't look too natural. But again, as you can see, this is the body they used back in the day. Again, no traps, very flat at the shoulders. It's almost like a ratcheting system right there. As you can see, kind of springs back into place. But again, even back in the day, you had like obviously double jointed knees, elbows. You have a wrist right there movement. And I like how the shoulders kind of almost like, you know, you kind of, as you can see, it goes in and out. You do have a snap right there. But again, a very old body here. Almost looks like an old G.I. Joe, you know, from the 80s. As you can see, I don't see any Sideshow logo, so that's quite interesting. I know on their recent figures, there's usually a logo here on the back. And as I said, pretty much the legs, again, if I do this here, you know, you have your standard articulation. Again, I'm not gonna take the boots out because that's gonna be a little bit of a pain to put back on. And again, you have your standard articulation. Again, pretty articulate considering it's an older figure. You can pretty much do, you know, all your poses. Again, it's still a little bit stiff, which is insane considering his age. But again, and you have a ball joint at the neck right there, as you can see at the bottom, and there's pretty much like a socket right there. And I know also the earliest Hot Toys figures, they used to have this same concept where you pretty much plug the head inside this weird like joint, and then there's a ball joint at the bottom. But yeah, very nice and natural movement. Again, I would have maybe swapped the body for something more modern, you know, to have more, I guess, natural movements. But again, there's some customizing that can clearly, you know, be done here. Obviously making him to have bigger traps, because as you can see, you almost have this like giraffe neck. The look right there. This is way too flat, so you can put some tape or whatever material to make you know, the body a little bit beefier. I mean, not that he needs to be beefier. Again, I don't know, I haven't seen the show, so I'm not sure how big the actor is. But as for a vampire, again, it's pretty slim, so that's quite fitting for the character. But yeah, very fun figure to pose. Obviously, there's a little bit some limitations, as I said earlier. You pretty much have the whole foot right there inside the boot. So when it comes to like ankle tilts and everything, that's gonna be almost impossible, because again, this is a relative piece, hard piece, plastic right there, or hard rubber. So that's gonna be pretty limited. But I mean, the rest of the body, it's standard. Again, you have some cloth, black pants. This is nylon, so it's gonna move pretty easily, as you can see. I gave him his cup of blood right there, as he's quite thirsty. But yeah, very nice, very impressed with how they made the figure. It's very cool, very nostalgic to actually have bought this one, because it reminds me, as I said at the beginning of the video, of my old Sideshow collection, which obviously don't have anymore. Again, I would actually go back and buy maybe some of the Friday the 13th figures. Obviously the price went up on those, especially on like the part 7 Jason. I was so impressed with that figure when I got it back in the day. Actually, mine was actually signed by Ken Hodder. That one had like a rubbery body. It was like a standard body, then they put like this rubbery, you know, I guess body. Does that make sense? There was like a rubbery part on top of his body to obviously create that seamless look, and he had like this bones, protrusions and everything. But yeah, it was very nice to have. So maybe I'm gonna track some of them down. As of right now, nobody's pretty much making Friday the 13th figures other than NECA. And obviously PCS has made like a preview. They're doing the part 3 figure from the video game, which I'm gonna cover on a video on the next video here, as they're gonna reveal that soon. Yeah, this thing is pretty cool. Again, you would let me guys know in the comments below as usual. What do you think about this one? What do you think about the series in general? I would like to hear. It's just pretty cool. Yeah, man, those joints right there on the wrist, not a big fan of those. Plus, they could have added maybe more length to like his jacket to obviously cover his wrist. Obviously, Trick or Treat Studios had the same issue when they made their Michael Myers figures a couple years ago. But again, this guy is 24 years old, and those are like 4 or 5. So again, no excuse here. But yeah, pretty cool. And you can have some decent poses with this guy. You won't have any issues. Man, this thing looks awesome. As you can see, he fits very nicely with the scale with other figures. Obviously with the Jason right there, and the latest Sideshow Pennywise that came out last year. They are doing a re-release on this guy, so if you missed the opportunity, now it's your chance to pre-order him again. Obviously my Jason has a custom head and a hockey mask by Owen's Custom, but as you can see, he is taller than Pennywise, which is pretty cool, and he's almost the same height as Jason right there. Jason is just a little bit taller, but again, he doesn't look out of place. Obviously the proportions are a little bit weird. You can definitely feel like the quality, for instance, this Pennywise here is a little bit heavier. It feels more premium versus this one. But again, for obviously back in the day, I believe he was like 40 or 50 bucks. That was pretty cool. As you can see, Jason right there is a little bit stockier. Again, a bigger body. You can definitely see the traps on him. So yeah, this is pretty cool, man. Very awesome. So as usual, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure to give me a like, subscribe to the channel, and obviously, as usual, let me know in the comments below what do you think about this figure. What do you think about the Buffy the Vampire in general? Is it a cool show? Is it worth watching? Also, tomorrow I'm gonna have my Hot Toys Beetlejuice 2. I'm gonna do an unboxing and a review, so make sure to stay tuned on the channel for that. As usual, guys, have a fantastic day. See you soon on the next video.